External Relations, Le Jeune Belambela, has refuted the U.S. ambassador to Cameroon's allegations as to the army targeting assassinations in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. In a communique released today, the Minister of External Relations equally urged His Excellency Peter Henry Ballerin to respect Cameroonians and their right to choose their leaders, not without mentioning that President Paul Biya has always been voted in free and fair elections. Minister Belambela ended by saying that Cameroon-USA relations have always been smooth and should not be disregarded. But is this really the case of smooth relations between Cameroon and the United States of America? Mrs. Sosie,
Ambassador Peter Henry Ballerin stopped to call to order on the head of state, President Paul Biya, coming on the eve of presidential elections, might just be the start of fresh tensions between the two countries, judging from the bitter reactions it has generated. But it is not the first time America's position on Cameroon's domestic affairs is causing diplomatic friction between Yaoundé and Washington. The end of the Cold War in 1989 left the U.S. with an unprecedented hegemonic position to reorient its African policy. With the disappearance of communist threats in Africa, America took the lead in enforcing the wind of democratic change in Africa. Paul Biya, who was initially indifferent to calls for multipartism, shocked his collaborators when he told them to be ready for competition. 1990 saw the birth of the SDF, and 2 years later, the first multi-party presidential elections took place. The outcome of the elections led to political tensions in the country, and the U.S. State Department's human rights reports on Cameroon were regularly and overwhelmingly deploring. Disagreements between the U.S. and Cameroon stemmed principally from human rights abuses. Washington expressed concerns over what they saw as a resolute gap between official statements and the actual respect of fundamental rights by the government. The publication of the 1992 presidential elections report by the National Democratic Institute, declaring SDF chairman John Fundi as winner, further strained relations. The report, which castigated Cameroon's democratic process, led to outright condemnation from Cameroonian authorities, who denounced external interference into the country's internal affairs. Mrs. Frances Cook, the U.S. ambassador at the time, under the Bush administration, was declared persona non grata by Cameroonian authorities in 1993 for her open support to the opposition and her controversial declarations against the regime. The Bush administration, in reaction, froze all public funds in Cameroon and closed the United States Agency for International Development, UNAID, the most important U.S. development agency in the country. Relations were normalized after the 1997 presidential elections, and the 9/11 terrorist attack opened a new era of fruitful and cordial diplomatic ties between Yaoundé and Washington.